All right, so welcome to our Launchpad webinar on building a great UX and UI. I'm your host, Tim Miranda, and we're going to get started. So I'm going to start by introducing the people that are going to be talking on the call today, and then we're going to walk through Launchpad and with a focus on the user interface and really making it a cool UX UI with Launchpad. And we're going to finish up by enhancing an existing app by embedding Launchpad into it. Just as a housekeeping note, we will have Q&A at the end. So there's a Q&A section where you can post your questions, and then we will go through them at the end of the webinar. All right, so like I said, my name is Tim Miranda. I'm part of the Launchpad Provider Success Team, and I'm joined by two of our UX designers, Chris LaChance and Becca Mayfield. So just to recap about Launchpad itself, it is a way to build your SaaS products in a low-code platform, and that platform is built on a strong, from the ground up, multi-tenant system, and it's got database, cloud, everything's handled for you. We're going to focus in on the low-code development aspect of Launchpad, particularly around the user experience, the user interface, and everything that comes along with that in the platform. And then, of course, tying that together is our subscriber management capabilities, where it's very easy to deploy your application, set up your subscribers, get them up and running in production just with a few clicks. Okay, so there's three basic ways to think about getting Launchpad into your ecosystem. One is building an entirely new end-to-end application in Launchpad, taking your IP and building a business-to-business SaaS product with it. Another way is to enhance your existing software, the software that you already have out there in production, and infuse generative AI, automation, and workflow into your existing apps. And then finally, another way to think about it is to replace your existing platform, your code-based platform, with this new powerful Launchpad system. Today, we're going to focus primarily on the build and enhance aspects here, particularly around the user interfaces. So in the previous webinar that we hosted for Launchpad, Sam Kremlin walked through building a blueprint for a fictional patent application, and then importing that blueprint into Launchpad so that you could build out your workflows and see how that process works with generative AI. So we're going to start from there. We're going to take that fictional patent application and see what we can do with the Launchpad UX and how we can build a great user interface with that foundation. So how can we build out our case forms, our dashboards, our portals, and also we're rebranding our existing software in this fictional example. So how can we quickly rebrand the Launchpad app itself to match our new theme and color that we're going to have in our existing software? So putting that all together, we're then going to see how we can enhance that existing software with just the patent submission part of the Launchpad application and seamlessly embed it into the portal that we have up and running already. So let's dive in. I'm going to first start with Chris. He's going to walk us through the Launchpad UX system and principles. Then he's going to hand it over to Becca, who's going to talk about the case user experience and the case UI, how you set up forms and enhance it, how do you augment the data model, and how to easily build out new dashboards and insights to be able to visualize your data. And then with that, Chris is going to show us how to introduce a completely new look and feel for our application using our theme rule. And at the end, I'm going to tie that together. I'm going to embed Launchpad into some existing software and show how you can enhance your software with a piece of your Launchpad application. All right, so Chris, if you want to take over, I'll let you start talking about Launchpad UX.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tim. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys off the UX system that we have inside of Launchpad today. I'm a UX designer over here at Launchpad, and we're going to walk through some of the core principles today of how the system actually works, some of the common regions in the design system. Becca's going to dive into some of those nitty-gritty details. So let's jump right in. When we first land in our Launchpad application, we landed somewhere like this. I'm actually going to press our preview button. It's going to render what that application looks like right out of the box, which is what we're seeing here. Inside of this preview patent processing browser units used, share preview region. This is kind of like the skin of the preview, but these areas right inside of here is exactly where our application is going to render. So we can kind of get a sense of what that looks like. Awesome. So let's talk about some of the principles of the design system we're using inside of Launchpad. First thing, if you've never heard the term center out, this is a really core Pega the Launchpad mentality. It's essentially the idea of building once and deploying anywhere. So we kind of go through all our logic, our intent, our processes, and it can really go anywhere. So our design system's scalable, flexible enough to be able to do that. We separated business logic from our UI. So if you need to make some changes in the back end, you don't have to really do anything special in the front end and just updates and works automatically. You're able to react to change very easily. And you can kind of keep your intent of what you're trying to do front and center. You don't have to sweat all the small little details like, oh no, I changed the thing here. Now I have to change the button here. And then I've got to go update the pixels over here. It really just kind of builds itself in some way. Another really key principle today is prescription. This design system is trying to help people have a consistent, expected user experience, easy for your subscribers, users to wayfind around the app, know where work's going to happen, where work's going to get done. And we're trying to keep things consistent. Buttons are named the same thing, work pops up in the same way, pages are laid out generally in the same sort of structure in these types of cards. It just keeps things consistent and moving through quickly. And lastly, the really important thing about our design system is that it's complete. All the form field logic and the validations and how that stuff works and presents itself is all handled. All you have to do is handle your intent inside your authoring experience. Out of the box, you're going to get accessibility. We have ways to do localization. So you can actually have different languages for your application, and it's responsive. So it can shrink down to the size of a mobile device if need be. And if that still doesn't cover everything that you need, you can always extend it with DX components, which we could talk about maybe in a future webinar. But I do want to really highlight that our goal is to give you the least amount of settings, not to overwhelm you, so you can get the most amount of value out of the design system. Okay, so this is where we left off last time. It's a pretty boring looking application at the moment, but I do want to cover a couple key assets because we are going to do rebrand. We're going to do some updates as we go here. But let's talk about key aspects of the design system that we have. Today, we have this top bar here. This is our application header. It gives you your logo, the name of the application, a way to search any of your work inside the global search here. You can also have users log out if they need to. On this sidebar here, these are our main navigation options. There are kind of these things down here point to landing pages, which is this gray region here. Landing pages are essentially pieces of content that you're finding very important for your subscribers, users to have access to. I'm going to show off some of these things specifically in a moment. But one of the things I really wanted to call that's unique to this Launchpad design system is this plus. You can kind of create work anytime, anywhere you're located within the application. So if you need to make a patent submission, maybe you're in a totally different piece of work, you can do that on the fly if you need to. For example, it pops up anywhere. You can keep working in the background. You can minimize it. You can get that out of the way so you can kind of refer back to other work. Really powerful. Additionally, another really cool thing is this idea of recents. Recents is actually tied to the operator, not the device. So if I'm working here and then I jump over to my phone, I have the same set of recents I can pick up right where I left off on any device, which is really, really awesome. Well, the next kind of important part is landing pages themselves. They typically have an icon, they have a title for whatever that landing page is, and you can fill those things with widgets. In this case, we have two different types of widgets that are pretty powerful that come right out of the box with the blueprint experience that we put together. First one is tasks. This is all the work this operator or user has to do. So this is all the work I have across all cases in that system located in one place. I can always know what I have to do at any given time, which is really awesome. Next is this pulse. This is our collaboration feature. So I can have conversations right in here with anyone at the top level of the application, but also all the conversations I've had on individual pieces of work are surfacing in this pulse widget. So I can actually have conversations without even leaving to go to that piece of work and have a conversation right here and make some updates as needed. The last important thing I want to show off before Becca takes over and shows us cases is this idea of preview. This is also something that's unique to our UX system. Give it a second to load. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing a slice or a little piece of that case. This is all the work that we have to do. We can see where it is in its progress. We can see all the work that's still open for this work. We can jump around and see some of the core details of this case, all without ever having to leave this homepage. So I can be working on another case, have a preview for something else that's important to me, get the content out of here, or vice versa, and keep on working wherever I was at. Well, I'm going to hand this over to Becca. She's going to show us through the case UX, talk about what's important there, and take it away.
Thanks, Chris. So what I have here is our primary work page, and the preview panel that Chris just had open. If you click on the header, it brings you to that place. And this primary work page is broken up into 3 main areas. So the first of those is on the left, and we call this the summary panel. It gives subscriber users a high-level overview of what's going on with this case. We generally recommend around 7 fields here, and it should contain the critical case data so that at a glance, the subscriber users know what's going on and where this is in the process. As we just saw, it also doubles as the preview and the mobile interface. And so all you have to do is configure it once, and it's used in like several different places. In the center here is our main work area. So at the top, you can see where this piece of work is in the process. And then if you click on any of those stages, those are the individual steps if you want more, if our subscriber users want more detail. Right below that, I'm going to click into our form, what we call an assignment, and that opens up here. You can see, I'm going to scroll down the page, we're collecting some information, and there's an independent scroll, like our form is scrolling, but our summary panel is staying static. So our subscriber users always have the context of this high-level overview. And at the bottom, if there's additional data that our subscriber users need, we have this read-only section. And really to maximize real estate, you can toggle the read-only sections over here. And we call these our case tabs. You can see here, we have Pulse again, so collaboration about this individual work item. Okay, and then if we look on the right, we have our utilities area. So at the moment we have attachments and followers here. You know, attachments could be specs about our possible patent idea, or you know, if there are any background research. Followers, let's say like Chris or Tim are interested in following this patent and to see where it goes, so they can always add themselves here.
So Becca, if my app for some reason doesn't need like an attachment gadget, I'm not expecting my end users to upload stuff. Is it easy to just remove some of these things if I need to simplify the view?
Absolutely. Well, you're jumping ahead a little bit, so I'll show you that in just a second. But yep, we can totally take some of these off if we don't need them. Okay, and then, so we'll close that up. Let's say in the middle of my form, we've got a table that has lots of columns and we want some more real estate for it. We can always collapse our summary panel and it reorients into a more traditional header, giving us a lot more real estate. Down here, perhaps we need our widgets. We could always open them up. So you can see we've got a very dynamic experience here. We've got data from all over our application. It's all within the context of this piece of work. You don't have to open other tabs because it's all here, but if you need to, you also could. So that's sort of the general overview of our case page. Now, we maintain all of this UI, so you don't have to. Let's, I think I'm seeing a couple fields here that I'm missing, and I think some stuff we don't need. So let's jump over to our configuration, and we'll look at how we can take some of this stuff, how we can add some information or take some stuff off. So this is our configuration experience of the page we were just looking at. This first tab is an overview of our workflow, but actually I'm going to start here. This is where we can configure what shows up on the surrounding case page. So as Tim just asked about, if we need to get rid of our attachments or any other of the widgets, we can get rid of them here or add new ones. I did notice that there were some tabs on the left that we didn't need, so I'm just gonna get rid of that one. Okay, I think that's looking better. Let's jump back over to our workflow. So we call this our case lifecycle, and it's where you can directly author your workflow. And the intent is that it matches the subscriber user's mental model of how they're doing work. So along the top, in these blue and green boxes, these are what we call stages. And this is how we organize work so that when it switches from one subscriber to another, you might change the stage, or if there's a significant change in case status, it might make sense to make a new stage. Within stages, we have these little gray boxes that you see here. And these are steps. Each of the green ones, this is where a human is interacting with our workflow. Typically, that's a form. We can specify like what information we want to collect in the form.
Yeah, I remember this one from the webinar and the blueprint. I'm wondering, could we maybe change what we're asking the user when they first create a patent submission? Show some of that.
Yeah, sure. So I think, yeah, there were a couple fields that I think we should add. Let's go into our configure form right here. Okay, so we've got title, quite some dates and our profiles. You know, earlier, Tim, for me, you hooked up this really cool Gen AI piece. So we're going to add that here. And, you know, I'm just going to I think this one makes sense on the top of the form. You can see it updating on the preview on the left. And so what this is going to do is when our subscriber users enter in a description of their invention idea, it's going to use AI to create a short and concise invention title for us. So looking at this form, you know, I want to add in the location where all this work is happening. Oh, you know what? The field's not here. So let's see if we can add it on the fly. Here we go. So I want an office location. There you go. Oh, the type is automatically location. And we're just going to submit. We didn't have to go update a database table. We can add this field in the context of where we're already working.
And that's a location field, so could I move that around? Oh, okay, so you can move that around also. Okay.
Yep, so I think maybe it makes sense above our profiles here. So that's looking pretty good, and we're going to hit submit and save this.
All right, so that changed that initial create form. Be interesting to see how that works. Can we add, like, I know there's gonna be managers using this app. Can we add a dashboard for them, maybe with some charts or something?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Those kind of overviews can be really helpful to have a sense of what's going on with our application. In this case, all the submissions that are coming in. So we'll jump over here through our portals. And so what Chris was showing with our left navigation, this is where we can configure that. So I think I've already got one configured in the background. So here it is. So we'll just add our dashboard. And again, like we saw earlier, just quick drag and drop. I think I want that one at the top, right under our homepage. We'll save, and then let's click in and see what configurations we have. So this is using our dynamic dashboard template. So you can see let's make that one a little smaller. And I think it'd be helpful to see what industries our patents are coming from. There it is, the one I made earlier. And we've got this hole at the top. So we're just going to drag and drop Move it on up, I think a little bigger. Awesome, there we go. So now we've got a really concise overview of what's going on with our applications and all the submissions that are coming in. Okay. You know, I heard a rumor that our fictitious company is having a rebrand, so we probably also want to update the theme.
That's true. I've heard that too. Well, I'll show off that part, Becca. Thank you for showing this. This is great. It's so cool. All right. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to jump into some theme stuff. So maybe you guys already have a theme in your application. We saw that kind of gray and teal one earlier today. Let's go in and kind of take a look at how we do theming if you're not familiar with this at all. So we're going to jump into our app settings. And we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to see that we have our theme original brand here. Let's jump into our theme and kind of take a look at what we have today. Well, this is what we saw in the presentation so far, this kind of gray and navy and blue theme here. We have a lot of different options that we've added recently. If you haven't been in here a little while, we now have quick ways to set the brand color. We can quickly pivot between colors that kind of cascade through the whole application very easily, which is really nice. We've added ways to increase font sizes or decrease font sizes now, which is brand new to us. We also have ways where we can change font family. So you can do something that feels a little different. But what also is new is we've added a way to individually change pieces of the font. So let's say I wanted to have a nice slab serif font for most of my application, but maybe I want to have a more futuristic font, let's say, for one part, and maybe I want to do a monospace font for another part. We can kind of have a lot more customization than we used to be able to have prior. So this is all new. We can also change our tab styles to different shapes. We can update if the elements are attached or detached now. We can also change the shape of the corners. Let's make them sharp. And we can make white space expand to give it more room inside of our application. So those are all new features that we've just introduced very recently. But on top of that, we've also added so many more design tokens for you to customize, change, and colorize inside the application. So let's play around. We're going to do some new stuff. Let's say we want to change a color here. You see that we have solid color selected, which does imply, obviously, we have other types of things we can choose. You can now add images in the background, which is really cool. We can add gradients. So let's do that, kind of get a sense of how that works. We're going to do something pretty radical just so we can see how it updates. We're going to do something very extreme here. Right? So let's do that. And you can see now we can actually update really important parts of the application to give it a very different look and feel. We can continue to do that and change colors as we want throughout the application. We can break away from that kind of cascading color, that purple that kind of came through. We can decide to make changes there where we don't have to keep purple everywhere. Maybe we want our links to be blue because that's our brand standard, let's say. So now we can see that our links are now blue, but we can still have our interactive colors. This is purple. You're also going to notice that we're going to get some of these little triangles here. These are accessibility warnings. So if you've made a theme choice that maybe doesn't have enough contrast, that might get you into trouble legally, we're going to warn you now, let you know like, hey, there's going to be a compliance warning, let's say, with WCAG 2.1 AA against the app background. So we can go ahead and change those things until these messages go away. Just word of warning, the gradients do have to be manually checked because there's no way for us to specifically tell. There's no math to tell between, let's say, a white text over a gradient that's dark. Because all the different variations and stuff like that, there are some things we have to manually check yourself, but we are trying to let you know those warnings ahead of time too, even in those cases. Obviously, you can also update your logo. If you didn't know that, you can update a logo for your theme. So yeah, there's a lot of power here. We're doing that prescriptive design idea. We're making it hard to do the wrong thing. And if you do happen to do something that maybe isn't the best, we're letting you know like, hey, if you want to fix it, this is your opportunity to do that. So that's really exciting. That's fine and good, but obviously we want to make our original brand feel like something uniquely you. So let's go back to our app settings. I've already configured a theme with some of these ideas in mind. We're going to jump back. We have a new brand, which is coming. So let's save that. Very cool. I'm going to press preview. It's going to take a little bit to generate. It's getting all the ideas from the new theme, trying to see what it has to do. It's getting all that content and logic we've been putting together. And we're actually going to take a tour now through our application with some of the updates Becca has shown us, the dashboard stuff that's now in there. I'm going to show off some of the responsivity, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how this can be embedded in a third-party application. So there we go. This is radically different than where we were a little bit ago. It's no longer that gray and teal theme. We've got this nice dark theme now. We've got a nice image in the background. We're using a lot more vibrant colors, updated logo. We can see Becca's dashboard has been updated with a dark theme as well, which is really, really cool. Let's jump into a case. Let's go take a look at that. All right. And we're going to get into the case. You're going to see like it's radically different. It feels very fresh, very modern. We could do a lot. You don't have to stick with the standard kind of out of the box square edges and grays and whites. You can do some really, really fun, innovative stuff in this now to kind of get that really uniquely you brand that you're looking to get. Let me show you some responsivity. This is really cool too, because now we can actually make this application work like as work on an iPad, for example, or a mobile device, and we can still continue to do the work even while we're in these really, really tight modes. So if this came on your iPhone or Android device, you're working and you want to jump over here, you can totally keep doing that. Great news, this is also for accessibility, the 400% zoom. We've made the UX system work for that, and it's the same idea. We're using the same experience for both places. Yeah, so this is kind of the real power now of our theming engine. If you didn't know, we've really, really amped it up recently. So have fun, explore it, be excited to see what you make. But Tim, I think you wanted to show us how you can even take this, what we've done for this theme, and put it somewhere else. Tell us about that. Love to hear.
Yeah, great. That looks awesome, Chris. I really like the new colors. All right, let me just grab the share there. Cool. So let's just see where we were here. I'm just gonna start my PowerPoint. So you just showed us the rebranding. That's great because my existing software that I built, we've done the new branding already. So I kind of want to see what this is going to look like with the my existing software. So let me switch over. So I'm going to show off the software first. So I have this work portal. We have several subscribers using it in production. We built it with TypeScript, a lot of code. It lets them do timesheets, do some project management, deal with HR stuff, look up policies and procedures. It's really like a one-stop shop for my subscribers, users, as they're going through their workday. So what I wanted to do was not have them have to switch to a whole other application, right, to be able to submit a patent idea. So we added a button to our nav bar here in my software, where we're going to kick off the creation of a patent submission case. So I'm just going to type in some stuff here, and just to reemphasize something Becca said earlier, we built one view, one workflow, in the application, and she showed it off in the full end user portal, and the same view, same workflow is running here and seamlessly embedded into my external website. So I was able to just drop it right in, and I can see that Chris's theme is in play here. So the embedded Launchpad experience looks just like the rest of my work portal. And since they're already in there, they can get back to their dashboard, anything they need. I'm going to switch over just to show the how we did this. So here's the Launchpad subscriber admin portal. So I'm in the admin portal here. I've set up a subscriber just to kind of show this off, and I've deployed the patent processing app. So I've set up the OAuth 2 stuff, all the tokens, the URLs that are needed to be able to properly embed this into my application. Let me show you. We also need cross-origin policies. Again, these are very simple to set up. I don't have to do any configuration or anything like that. I just make it so that the browser knows it's okay to show the web embed Launchpad piece inside of my existing software. So make sure that's set up. And I'm going to go into Git. This is all the code for my existing website. There's a lot of TypeScript. So I have a TypeScript page for the patent submission where I'm embedding that in. You can see I've already set up, there's just a single Pega embed tab here. This HTML element tells it everything it needs to know, and it just loads from some simple JavaScript. And I'm telling it, I need you to talk to this Launchpad system. I need you to create a case of type patent submission. So that's all the different attributes of this HTML element. I point it at my Launchpad system so it knows which ones to integrate in with and how to get the authorization tokens and things like that. So just by dropping this one HTML tag into my existing software, I was able to enhance my software with generative AI and with workflow and automation And that would have been a lot more TypeScript if I didn't have Launchpad to do that for me. So cool. All right, let's continue here. All right, so we saw how to do the enhancement there. We were able to use the themes and all the changes that Becca made as well. And really the Launchpad UX system lets you focus on what you need your app to do. You don't need to be thinking about what I'm going to build for it in mobile, what I'm going to build in different experiences. Do I need a different UX when I'm dealing with embedding it into an existing web application? You build things once and you can use them everywhere. It's very easy to augment the case forms. You saw Becca add to the data model as she was building out, adding stuff to a case form. And she did that in one place. She didn't have to go change database schema or update any infrastructure. She built out some quick dashboards. We were able to rebrand really quickly. And you saw it was just a few clicks in the configuration, some HTML tags, and it was really simple for me to enhance my existing software with what we've built in Launchpad. So that wraps up this part of the webinar. I think that we're going to have some Q&A and probably some questions have been posted already. So we can move on to that.
Sounds good. Yes, we do have quite a few questions come in, so I'll run through them. Some of them are specific. Tim, how can categories be added to attachments?
I'm sorry, what was the first part of the question?
How can categories be added to attachments?
Yeah, so in Launchpad, we have a couple concepts that are similar. If you're familiar with categories from other software. So when you think about categories, there's two kind of purposes. One is security and access around types of attachments. You want certain types of personas to be able to, maybe read or upload certain types of attachments. And the other is just sort of for like grouping and display purposes. So two concepts that you can use in Launchpad. One is attachment fields. So in your data model, instead of just having ad hoc attachments that get uploaded directly to the case, you can define fields in your data model where you can collect single attachments or multiple attachments. And you can use that combined with attribute-based access control and security policies to say that I'm going to show this field to these types of users. I'm going to collect this information here. And that really lets you integrate attachments more closely with your model and with your security policies.
Awesome. Thank you. Can we configure form to a pop window?
I'll take that one. I guess it would really depend on what the form's intent would be. So in the UX system, we have specific ways that content is presented. That's the way it's consistent. It's able to be, worked through in ways that are helpful for the user. So for example, in that global create example, it opens a modal. That's because we're not in any specific context. We can minimize that modal. We can go get context. We can come back to that modal and work. When we're inside of a case, we're doing the form inside of the work area. It's associated with the work that needs to be progressed and moved through because it's directly connected to the work that needs to be moved through. Additionally, all the content that's around that is directly related to that form. So to pop a window in that case probably wouldn't make a ton of sense for us to do that in that context because we need that content around us. So we're going to be able to go and switch and grab stuff from between those assets. So that's part of that prescribed nature is we're trying to make sure that the work is more closely bound to the work that's happening. But if it's disconnected from that work, it has a disconnected experience. I hope that helps.
Got it. This is, I think, for you as well. When you were sharing the screen, there was a go button.
Mm-hmm.
Can we customize that go button?
Sure.
I'm not sure if the question refers to color or font or other things.
Yeah. I'm going to share my screen again just so you guys can see that. Give me a moment. I'll actually customize it in the background. Yeah, we can change the colors for sure. If you mean language and the wording, no, we're using Go to kind of a consistent pattern right now. Obviously, you can localize this, but that is the name of the button. That is, we're going to take a piece of work. It's a pretty simple thing that we've used for a while to teach that lesson to people. There could be more changes coming right now. Solid color is the only item that works for buttons. We do want to extend that eventually for gradients and image support. buttons are a little interesting because they have to handle a resting state, which is what we see here. They have to handle a hover state, active state, focus state, press state. There's a lot of complexity to buttons. So even though it seems like an easy thing, if we really want to go deep, deep, deep on visually styling this button, we are thinking of ways to let you target this directly, potentially with CSS or some sort of JSON, et cetera. But right now you can at least change the color of some of these key buttons in your application.
Okay. Is there a way to configure different theme for different subscribers?
Yeah, I can take that. So one of the powerful features of Launchpad is the idea of configuration. And that lets you on a per subscriber basis mark certain rules in your application as overridable, customizable within the subscriber. And so the theme rule is one of those, and that's a very common thing to do. So you may have a default product theme that you use for demos and sales and things like that. But when the subscriber purchases your application, one of the first things you may do is make sure that the theme kind of matches their branding, so it feels like their own application. And that's a very easy thing to set up with configuration sets.
Okay. Chris, you mentioned accessibility comes out of the box. Does that mean my app is automatically accessible, like it meets regulated standards?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, all this stuff we're trying to put out of the box, if you're configuring it the way it's meant to be configured and all that sort of thing, just the default experience, yeah, it will work. I actually, before this webinar, I did run, Google Lighthouse on it, and I know that's not like the ultimate standard of accessibility review, but it did get 100. So if it's configured properly, like let's say we don't make a theme that's, weird colors or whatever like that, that there's no contrast issues, yeah, it should. Obviously, you want to check this yourself. The automatic checkers are not exactly 100% coverage. So there are things you have to check. Like, if I have a heading labeled here in one way and here in another way, that's going to create its own violation. So we let you put headings in. But if you do the things that are incorrect in some ways, you can expose yourself to accessibility issues. But yeah, the content that we're actually putting out the door, generally, yes. Yeah, we're doing a very good job with that, I would say. You guys can read up on this too. We can provide documentation on that as well at some point.
Awesome. Is there a way to create a new theme by passing the client's website? Something similar to the blueprint feature.
So there's a couple options here, and Chris, if you want to also add to this, if you're enhancing your existing software and you want to sort of pass in the theme from within the embedding, the HTML element that you've added, you can actually pass in some of the theme attributes in that way with the web embed element. Also, when you're creating a theme rule, there's an eyedropper. It makes it very easy to just kind of pull the right colors and elements out as well. But Chris, I don't know if you have anything to add for that.
Yeah, right now it's a manual process. There are some things you can probably do to accelerate that for yourself, but yeah, at the moment it's a manual thing. It is a known need. It is something that we've thought about. Each URL is obviously very different. There's ways to grab color dynamically using AI, which you could then bring into the theming experience, but there's no automatic conversion today.
Thank you. Which component to use when I need to display objects that require images, such as a product gallery?
Yeah, I can take that one. So just looking at it in our forms, there's a display option for cards that you can add an image to.
Yep, that's the standard approach for that. There's also, of course, there's some open source DX custom components if you want different kind of displays like carousel gallery and things like that that you can use with Launchpad if you want.
Mm-hmm. Tim, and another question is, you mentioned DX custom components. Are there any pre-built DX custom components for Launchpad?
Yeah, actually, the ones that have been built with Infinity already and that are available on our GitHub site Pegasystems GitHub site, can be used for Launchpad as well. So we have several providers that have done that in a couple of places. Of course, using the Launchpad generated UX and the UI experience is the preferred way to go because everything is managed for you. But we do have that extensibility option if you need it.
Got it. Just want to confirm that the UX builds out as I build my application, and then I can theme it using what Chris showed us.
Yeah, I think what they're asking is if I understand the question correctly, is as you're incrementally building the UI and the forms, can you apply the theme at any time? Yeah, I mean, that's part of the power here is that the workflow is separate from the UX, and so the theme rule kind of also controls over that. So you don't have to get your theme 100% to start with. You can build stuff out and you can layer the theme over as you're going.
Yeah, I think you answered it. So I have a follow-up question to the configurable theme for subscriber. Wouldn't it be easier to develop the theme and configure it in the subscriber environment after doing testing in the authoring studio rather than editing it in the subscriber environment?
Yeah, that's definitely an option. You could have multiple themes set up that are in your application, maybe one specific per subscriber. And then you can do some testing, whether it's previewing your application as a developer or setting up your own test subscribers as a provider. And you can apply the theme, make sure it's doing what you need. And then within the subscribers environment, you can just select that theme to be used for the application. That's definitely a way to go with it. Either way, it's flexible.
Awesome. Tim, this one is for you as well. So the person just wants to confirm. Did you say that I can embed that app that you themed into my existing software? So I can either use Launchpad to build a new application or to add a capability to my existing application?
Yeah. I mean, I think what we saw there was really powerful because Becca, we built the application from Blueprint. We had the workflow set up. Becca added some fields to the create form in just one place. We added the theme in just one place. She created some dashboards. Any part of that application, whether you're showing it in the full portal with someone like actually using the Launchpad application as a user, or embedded as I showed to enhance an existing piece of software, all of those things are just built once and reused in those different environments. It's the same with mobile too. So those changes that Becca made to the create view of the patent submission case type would work the same way on mobile as we showed on the laptops here. So yeah, those different options are all available, and you don't need to create different parts of your application for those different uses of it.
Okay. Chris or Becca, does Pega plan to introduce an out-of-the-box multi-select field in Launchpad?
Yeah, so we have, just looking at the configuration on the side. So we have the combo box available. It's in the same spot where you would pick the cards. It's under the display as dropdown.
Yeah, there's a few different options for that. If you're showing a table of records in a case form and things like that, we do have the ability to select those and multi-select. It kind of depends on what kind of data you're presenting to the user and what you want to collect from them. So.
Awesome. So let's take two more questions, and I am seeing some very specific technical questions, which we will follow up with you if you asked one of those in an email. So Tim, people are asking about localization capabilities in Launchpad.
Yeah, so it's pretty similar to where you may used to in other platforms. We can create language packs in Launchpad. So you define a language pack rule and you download the spreadsheet, fill in the translations for the fields, the labels, things like that. And then you repackage that, upload it back into your application, and that language pack will be applied based on the locale of the browser automatically. So we have that kind of basic localization support in Launchpad already.
Great, great. Chris, Becca, one more for you. Can we have a solution for displaying large texts in a form?
Only large text in a form? I guess I would have to understand what that is. There's a way to set large text universally, but to just change text for one piece of the UI is not something we typically do. We have a cascade of hierarchy, visual order. So like headings are bigger than the next level headings, and they're better than the next text. So it would probably have to follow the cascade of visual order because that helps people wayfind. So just one place is large doesn't really make a lot of visual hierarchy sense. So I'd have to probably know a little bit more about the use case to give a better answer.
There was an earlier question, which I think was relating large text to just like a field that has a lot of words in it, like a long sentence or something. So I'm not sure if this is the same concept.
You mean
We
a
do
lot of
have-
text
Yeah,
versus...
we do have like options in tables, especially because I think the earlier question was around showing in a column. We do have a recent option that was added to turn on word wrap for tables. So that would probably help with that situation.
Yep, that's the same person, Tim. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to probably, maybe we could do it offline at some point, or we could send over some extra details. I'd like to know more about what's not working in the 2 to 3 column layout specifically. It could be a matter of label length. It could be a matter of very many things. So we'd have to probably have some more specifics.
Awesome. Okay, last one. So when you folks showed adding a new field to a form, you mentioned you didn't need to update any database schema. Did you have to do anything else behind the scenes, like redeploy schema or update other screens to make that work?
Yeah, that was something I think Becca had done. The answer is no, it's you add it in one place. And again, I think this is really important to remember that the data model, the workflow, the UX, they're all independent and they work together, but Becca was able to open up the create screen, right, for patent submission. So what we need to collect from the user and very quickly add a couple new fields. And one of them was something that wasn't even in the data model. And she just, as she was modifying the user interface rule, she was able to just add that field to the data model of patent submission right there. That makes sure that it's part of the schema, that it's reportable. All of that stuff is handled by the platform. So she was able to focus on what do I need to show the user, what do I need to collect from the user, and know that all of the rest of that stuff is going to get taken care of.
Excellent. I think that's a good place to wrap up. We appreciate your engagement. Thank you so much for all the questions. Again, we'll follow up on the ones we didn't touch on here. Thank you to our presenters, Tim, Chris, and Becca. And we hope to see you all in our future webinars, which we have a bunch coming up. Stay tuned.